And when we think about what can happen in a year, or what can happen over just a very short window of time, if we go back just 3 years, 2019, as the clock was turning over from 2018 to 2019, the man that you're listening to right now was in a completely different place, a completely different point. I was caught up in a compulsive and destructive addiction. If you're out there, maybe you're in a dark place, maybe you're in a struggle season right now, I just want to maybe pass a word of encouragement, a word of inspiration out to you that where you're at right now is not the final destination. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, guys, to another amazing and very, 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 very exciting episode of the Superhuman Life. As always, guys, I'm your host, Frank Rich, and let me just kick today off here with welcoming everybody and wishing you a happiest of New Year's. It's something, I don't know if you guys out there are big planners. Obviously, one of the things we talk a lot about here, with the Superhuman Life, with the work that we're doing over at Rebuild Recovery, is having a plan. Having a plan for your life, having a plan for your year, setting goals. So today's episode is going to be me sharing 5 life hacks to make this coming year, to make 2022 the best year ever. And when we think about what can happen in a year, or what can happen over just a very short window of time, if we go back just 3 years, 2019, as the clock was turning over from 2018 to 2019, the man that you're listening to right now was in a completely different place, a completely different point in his life. Literally 3 years ago, I hadn't even really addressed the elephant in the room. I hadn't even actually really had that conversation with myself yet about what I was doing, about what I was consuming. So if we go back just 3 years, I was caught up in a compulsive and destructive addiction that I wasn't even addressing at the time. And then you all know the story, February 14th, 2019, this is really the genesis of this podcast. But literally just 3 years ago, I was struggling with an addiction. I hadn't even launched the Superhuman Life yet. And clearly, we didn't have Rebuild Recovery. So if you're out there, maybe you're in a dark place, maybe you're in a struggle season right now, I just want to maybe pass a word of encouragement, a word of inspiration out to you that where you're at right now is not the final destination. If we go back into Genesis early, like Genesis 1, there was darkness hovering over the earth. And if we think about when a new day starts, a new day doesn't start as the sun is rising. A new day starts at midnight, in the blackest of nights, pitch dark. So God created the world out of darkness. Every day we start our new day in pitch black darkness. So if you're struggling right now, if you're in a season of darkness, or you feel like you're in a season of maybe inevitable darkness, know that this is probably the beginning of something truly great, something truly remarkable for your life. So that's just a word of encouragement out there. I don't know where you guys are at right now, what you're struggling with, what you're going through. But literally 3 years ago, I was struggling financially. I was driving Uber, Lyft, Shipt. I was selling stuff on eBay. I was going to garage sales on the weekend to try to make ends meet. Okay. And then I got really, really clear on what I wanted. Then I got really clear on who I needed to become in order to achieve what I wanted. In the last 3 years, I've woken up every day with a single purpose in mind of becoming closer to that man that can do the things that he needs to do in order to get the things that he wants to get. And that's where I'm going to take today's podcast episode with you guys, is maybe providing some of those life hacks. Okay. And I don't want to look at these as hacks, as something that you're going to do and it's going to change, it's going to make things easier. If anything, following these hacks, following this plan that we're going to give you here today, it's going to maybe make it a little bit more difficult. But when we talk about leaning into resistance, where we talk about growth and change and transformation, comes out of fighting the resistance, comes out of putting our bodies under tension, under load. We talk about it in the gym. How do you make a muscle grow? You put the muscle under load, under resistance, and then over time it recovers and gets back stronger. Same thing happens in our life. Same thing happens in our emotional strength, in our mental strength. If we want to grow in those areas, we have to be willing to push up against a little bit of resistance. So the word of encouragement out there is no matter where you are right now, this is not the final destination. If you have today, then you have an opportunity to make improvements. If you have another day, then you have an opportunity to get closer to the man or woman that you were intended and created to be. So guys, I'm going to run through these 5 life hacks. These are things that I've been working on implementing in my life. I've gone through various seasons. But these are commitments that I'm committed to making personally. So this is a little bit of a personal sharing with you guys, because these are things that I'm dedicated to doing and improving on a daily and consistent basis. A lot of them I'm already doing, and I can tell you from just an anecdotal experience that when you really commit to these hacks, when you really commit to these habits, the outcome is life-changing. And guys, I really hope that this list is something new that you've never heard before. I truly believe that in putting this list together over the past few weeks in preparation for recording this first episode of 2022, that I wanted to bring something new. I wanted to bring, things that maybe we haven't shared. And some of them have been talked about here on the podcast. Some of them have been mentioned somewhere else. I can guarantee with certainty that this list of 5 hacks has never been seen anywhere else before. And if you guys do come across it, please send it to me, because I want to meet and speak with that individual that's got like-minded, just like myself. But guys, it's 2022. What an amazing opportunity we have this year. What an amazing opportunity we have today to make progress, to take steps, to take action in creating our superhuman life and becoming the men and women that we all were created to be. So I'm going to run through each one of these guys, give you a little bit of breakdown about how we arrived at these 5 hacks, and then give you a little bit of tactics and strategies on how you can implement them into your life. So guys, the first life hack, something we talk about all the time. I've already mentioned it here at the beginning of this podcast, is to have a plan. Have a plan for what you want to do this year, but don't just look at this as creating goals. Like, this is not about creating goals. This is about creating a plan. A goal is an aim. A goal is the vision. A goal is what you want to accomplish. But a goal without a plan is nothing more than a dream. So we have to take that goal that we want to accomplish. And it can be, it can be in the 5 F's pillars of your life. So it could be faith goals, fitness goals, financial goals, family goals, freedom goals. Okay, you don't have to follow that structure, but obviously it gives you a template to work with. So if you create a financial goal of, I want to save, $100,000 this year. I want to save $10,000 this year. That's a goal. Okay. But how do you make that goal and turn it into a plan? Okay. So how much money do you need to save on a quarterly basis? How much does money needs to be saved on a monthly basis? How much money needs to be saved on a weekly basis? And how much money needs to be saved on a daily basis? So ladies and gentlemen, when I'm talking about making a plan, okay, it's starting with a goal in mind of what it is you want to accomplish over the next 12 months, but then taking that goal and breaking it down into, okay, if I'm going to achieve this goal, what do I need to accomplish and who do I need to become in order to accomplish X goal? So have it mapped out for a year. And then you take that year goal and you break it down into quarterly segments. Okay, so if I'm going to be on trajectory at the end of the first quarter of 2022 of accomplishing my goal of saving $10,000 this year, how much money do I need to have in the bank after the first quarter? Okay, and then if I'm going to be on track for that in the first quarter, what do I need to be accomplished after the first month of January? And if I'm going to achieve that in the first month, what do I need to have saved in the bank in the first week of this year? And if so, what do I need to be putting away every single day? And then once you have the plan, you can figure out, okay, if I'm actually going to achieve this goal, if I'm going to become the man or woman that can accomplish that goal, what do I need to be doing today? Okay, so it's taking the bigger picture goal, it's taking the bigger dream, and then bringing it down into an actionable plan and process that you can wake up every single day and execute upon. And if it really is a meaningful goal, then nothing else is going to get in the way of you accomplishing it. And if it is, then you haven't attached a big enough why to the goal and the outcome of accomplishing that goal, or it's just not meaningful enough. So guys, first life hack here to make 2022 the best year ever is to have a plan. Not a goal, but have a yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily plan on how you're going to accomplish all the goals that you've laid out for yourself. Okay. Second life hack to make 2022 the best year ever is to go to bed and wake up at the same time every single day. Okay. Not 5 days a week, and then you sleep in on Saturday and Sunday. Not 6 days a week, so Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday you're sleeping until noon. But literally 7 days a week, 365 days this year. Maybe it's a leap year. I don't know. Whether it's 365 or 366, I don't really know at this point. But wake up every day and go to bed every day at the same time. And this should really come out of the first hack. Okay. If you're really, really clear on the goals that you want to accomplish and creating the plan to achieve that, then in that plan, you should be able to plan what time am I going to bed and what time am I waking up every single morning. And there's a lot of biological, there's a lot of circadian, biology benefits that we get out of going to bed and waking up at the same time. And ideally, this should fall as close to the sunset and sunrise. Now, obviously, depending upon work schedules, where you're located throughout, the country or the world, depending on when the sun goes up and goes down, we can't follow that plan. I understand that. And I know, hey, it might be damn near impossible to really dial it in for 365 days. But if you make that the goal, if you make that the plan, maybe you miss one day a week, maybe you miss one day a month, that's going to be okay. But it's more about the consistency. It's more about, okay, these are the promises and commitments that I'm making to myself, and I'm going to follow through and execute upon them. Okay. And like I said, guys, this is something that, like, these hacks are things that I've implemented, I've worked with. So back in 2019, I followed this pretty close to a T. About midway through the year, probably after the first quarter, a lot of things had really started to kind of take off in my life. And I was in a routine, and I was in a system, and I was going to bed and waking up every single day. I was waking up at like 4:19 every single day without an alarm clock, 7 days a week. And then over the past 3 years, I've tried 6 days. I've tried even 5 days. And what I noticed through my own productivity, through my own just how I wake up every single morning with vibrant energy to go out and tackle the day. When I'm dialed into 7 days of consistent fall asleep and wake up time, that is when I'm at my best. That is when I'm at my sharpest. That is when we were having the highest downloads. That is when the business is having its highest revenue month. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that, guys. I am committed to that hack. I am committed to 2022, going to bed and waking up at the same time every single day, as close to I can as possible. Okay. Now I know things come up. I've talked about, I'm involved in, some athletics. I coach Little League. I play competitive softball, a couple nights a week or one night a week, depending upon the season that we're in. So sometimes, things and commitments take me beyond what would normally be my scheduled, bedtime. But what I don't do is I don't allow that to push my wake up time. Okay, I'll catch up for that later on, but sticking to the schedule, sticking to the going to bed and waking up at the same time is one of the greatest life hacks. And I want to add an asterisk to this, guys. This is something we've talked about a lot here. But if you're still going to bed with your phone in your bedroom, you are setting yourself up for failure. So an additional hack included with this number 2 is to stop taking your phone into your bed and into your bedroom. Because even if you're not knowingly doing it, okay, let's say you're having a tough night falling asleep, you're kind of dealing with some thoughts, kind of racing things, insomnia, so forth and so forth. Kind of sitting in that unconscious, kind of subconscious kind of underpinning there is the knowing fact that you have an infinite, amount of entertainment. You have an endless supply of videos, of articles, of social media, literally sitting at arm's reach away. So guys, one of the greatest benefits that I started to implement back in 2018, this is going on 4+ years now with me, is I stopped taking my phone into my bedroom. So added on with the waking up and going to bed at the same time every single day is to stop taking your phone into your bedroom with you. Okay, guys, and the third life hack here to make 2022 the best year ever is spend a minimum of 30 minutes every single day outside moving. Okay, this doesn't have to be intense. High intensity movement, burpees, sprints can literally be 30 minutes of walking outside. Okay. I'm a huge advocate of early morning walks and early morning sun exposure. We talked a lot about the research that Dr. Andrew Huberman has shared outside of Stanford, that early morning sun exposure, early morning light exposure within the first 30 minutes of your day, will trigger a cortisol release first thing in the morning. So cortisol is a stress hormone, but it's also a hormone of motivation and energy. So getting that cortisol drip released first thing in the morning is going to propel you to go out and tackle the day. But it's also going to trigger serotonin release 16 hours later in the day. So if you're somebody that's struggling with insomnia, if you're struggling with winding down at the end of the day, it may be due to a lack of serotonin. And I don't advise going to your local pharmacy and picking up serotonin and starting to supplement with it. Have your body naturally produce it. So getting early morning sun exposure is great. Getting outside and walking, after meal is great for blood glucose levels. Okay. It helps kind of regulate your blood glucose. So when we talk about 30 minutes outside, guys, it doesn't have to be a 30-minute walk. It can be 3 10-minute walks. Some of you may be familiar with Sam Efferding, founder of the Vertical Diet. He's a huge advocate of 2 to 3 10-minute walks every single day after your meals. But there's tremendous value and benefit that comes out of the vitamin D exposure, okay? Getting some sunlight in and on your skin. There's tremendous benefits of just breathing in fresh air. We had Dr. Mahmoud Ghanem on the show, and we talked about the gut microbiome. Like, we were not designed and created to be living inside of these cement boxes. So getting some sun exposure, getting some fresh air exposure, just getting out in the dirt, grounding, like, there's so many tremendous benefits that can come with. So if you're really looking at making 2022 the best year ever, and if you're not spending adequate time outside every single day, start planning that. Okay. And hack number 1, start planning your outside time every single day. Okay. And then the fourth life hack here to make 2022 the best year ever is to get out there and serve. Okay. Serve your community, serve others. Okay. We've shared the research here from Dr. Caroline Leaf that literally the act of service, doing a kind service act for somebody else, will trigger dopamine and serotonin release in you, not them, but in you. So serving has so much benefit for the person that you're doing the act of service for. They're getting something. Maybe they're getting a hot meal if you're serving food at a homeless shelter. Maybe they're getting some clothing if you're donating some old clothes. Maybe they're just a warm greeting face if you're kind of serving at your church. Like, there's so much benefit that the other person gets, but men, we're talking about, in women, we're talking about benefiting you. Okay. And these are life hacks for you to make 2022 the best year ever. So if you're not involved in doing some type of community service work, okay, whether it's, mentoring young boys and girls, Boys and Girls Club, being a big brother, like we talked about, maybe volunteering and doing some Little League coaching, some Little League refereeing. But if you really want to make this year the best, start looking at opportunities to feed in and fill other people's cups up. So the fourth hack here to make 2022 the best year ever is to get out and serve. Okay. Now, the fifth hack, guy, this is something that is newly articulated to me. It's something I heard Chris Williamson, who is the host of Modern Wisdom. Guys, if you're looking for another amazing podcast to tune into, very similar to the style of conversation that we have here, check out Chris Williamson over at Modern Wisdom. Out of the UK, brilliant, sharp dude, former reality TV star, club promoter, but just a very insightful guy. Has a lot of questions. He and I process information very, very similarly. There's a lot of parallels in our journeys. There's a lot of parallels in just how we see and kind of show up for our conversation. But one of the things that I've really heard him talk about recently, as I've been consuming a lot of his work, is the need to have meaningful conversation. Okay, guys, I think that I wasn't really aware of what this podcast was doing for me. Obviously, we're putting these episodes out there on a weekly basis to add value into the world, to help you overcome your struggles, to help you in finding value and meaning in your life, to help you overcome addictions, to help you in getting a deeper insight on health, nutrition. So this is incredible work that we're doing for you on a weekly basis. But what I've really noticed is these conversations every single week have transformed me. Okay. If I look back over the past 2.5 years, I've grown as obviously a man. I've grown as a leader. I've grown as a coach. I've grown as a human being. I've grown as a listener. I've grown as a thinker. I've grown as a philosopher. And a lot of it has been due to me being forced to sit down and having intentional, meaningful conversations on a weekly basis. So when we get plugged in and tuned in to these podcasts, and I talked about it with Stephen Pressfield, there always comes this kind of like sense of fear kind of starting. But once those lights are on and once we're 2 to 3 minutes into the conversation, I'm locked in and engaged. There's no cell phones on at the time. There's no scanning of other websites. There's no YouTube. There's no social media. There's literally nothing other than me and another individual. Now, the vast majority of these conversations have taken place virtually, through Zoom or through Riverside, which we're recording on right now. But I've had the pleasure of having a few of them in person. But where I'm going, guys, is obviously if you're consuming these podcasts on a weekly basis, then you have a thirst for knowledge. You have a thirst for more information. You have a thirst for maybe growing yourself. But consuming the information, but is one thing. Articulating your own thoughts, articulating your own beliefs about something is a completely different process. Okay, guys, if you have an idea in your mind, if you have an idea in your brain, but you can't articulate it to yourself or maybe articulate it to somebody else, then is that idea really anything? No. So if you really want to make 2022 the best year ever, one of the hacks that I do recommend, and I'd love to see you guys really, really take in this and run with it, is have 60 minutes of meaningful conversation every single week. Okay. You don't need to record these conversations and start a podcast, but find somebody in your life, maybe probably not your spouse, probably not your partner, probably not your best friend, maybe somebody that's got some opposing worldviews, maybe somebody that's got some opposing political views, maybe somebody that's got some opposing religious views, maybe somebody that's got opposing views when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to parenting, but lock in a time and set a time aside every single week that you guys are going to bring questions to the table. Set yourself up to where you have to ask this person about how they got to their beliefs, about how you got to these opinions, about how you got to this point where this is the way that you're seeing things, but also being forced to answer questions and just have deep, meaningful, engaging conversations. Cell phones left out of the room. You're not there to, I don't want to say you're not there to not persuade another individual, because I think a part of conversation is the act and gift of persuasion. So maybe you have the ability to kind of change the person's perception on something, but just get in the habit of getting outside of the norm. I think what you'll notice as you spend some time on these deep, meaningful conversations, you'll realize that the vast majority of people are so surface level. They want to talk about the weather. They want to talk about last week's game. They want to talk about so-and-so and gossip. And I don't want to say any of that is bad. I think there's a place for some of that in the world. But guys, if you really want to transform who you are, if you really want to grow and challenge yourself to expand your views, to expand your beliefs, to expand the way that you see and process things, start having deep, meaningful, and challenging conversations. Because like I said, guys, in the last 2.5 years, I'm not sure anything has done as much work on me in evolving and changing and growing who I'm becoming than having these conversations on a weekly basis. So I really hope you guys run with that one and really take it to heart, because I'd really love to hear you guys' feedback and thoughts and input on, hey, Frank was really, really onto something. So I'm going to run through those real quick, guys, and then I got a bonus hack here at the end. So the 5 life hacks here to make 2022 the best year ever. So start with a plan in mind. You got to have goals, but really taking those goals into breaking them down into actionable plans on what you need to accomplish and who you need to become in order to accomplish your goals. So I think that's the big miss that a lot of people have when setting plans and setting goals, is they set the goal for what they want to accomplish, but they don't make the plan on who they need to become in order to accomplish that goal. So first life hack here to make 2022 the best year ever is to have a plan, yearly, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily plan of what you need to do in order to become the man or woman that is going to accomplish the goals that you set out for yourself. Second life hack here to make 2022 the best year ever, to wake up and go to bed at the same time every single day. Yes, 7 days a week. Maybe you're not ready to commit to 7. Try committing to 6 and just stick to this for 90 days. Go to bed and wake up at the same time for 90 days, and then report back to me how your life has improved. And then an asterisk bonus with that hack there, guys, is stop taking your phone into your bedroom. The third life hack here to make 2022 the best year ever is to spend a minimum of 30 minutes outside every single day moving, okay? Whether it's a slow walk, jog, even a light workout. One of the parts of 75 Hard is to do a second workout outside every single day. So get outside, get some fresh air, get some sun exposure, and just spend 30 minutes outside. The fourth life hack here is to serve in your community. Take your time to make somebody else's life better. Okay. And the fifth life hack here to make 2022 the best year ever is to have 60 minutes minimum of deep, meaningful, and insightful conversation every single week. Guys, that will transform the way you think. That will transform the way you articulate ideas. That will transform the way that you show up in the world. So I really am looking forward to you guys running with that one. And guys, a bonus hack here. You guys all know I am a huge animal lover. I'm a huge fan of dogs. I'm a fan of animals in general. Going back to some of the earlier episodes, Bentley, my little guy here, I rescued him back in 2015, but he's made a couple appearances on here. I can't tell you, man, like, I don't know where I would be without Bentley in my life. I reference Dr. Caroline Leaf quite a bit. I'm a huge fan of her work. Obviously, she's one of, the top guests we've had here on the show. She shared some really fascinating research that literally watching videos or spending time with puppies or dogs will trigger dopamine. So we always look through things like kind of through the lens of neuroscience. So if there's benefits, to your brain that you get from doing things, then obviously we encourage you to do that. But I think there's so much more that you get outside of having a pet and a dog specifically. If you're a young man right now, maybe you're struggling with responsibility, maybe you're struggling with keeping your promises and commitments to yourself, like having an animal that you're responsible for, like, it's virtue building. You have to build character traits, because now you're responsible for the life of another being, like not another human, but an animal, like, and there's real responsibility that has grown outside of that. And then just, the feeling of unconditional love and support, no matter what is going on in your life. Like when you look at those big eyes and, that sense of like, they just love having you around. So we talked about the darkness. We talked about maybe the seasons of darkness that some of you may be experiencing right now. Men, women, I can't tell you how loving it can be. And I don't really think that word does it justice, but peaceful. Like at the end of a long day, maybe things haven't gone as you planned. Maybe you're struggling, to hit some numbers. Maybe you're struggling to make breakthroughs. Maybe you're just struggling to find, deeper meaning. But at the end of the day, when you come home, and you sit down on the couch and those, that big head and those floppy ears that kind of drop their head down on your lap, there's not many things that are greater than that feeling. So little life hack, personal hack here is get a dog. I really think that it could transform and change your life. So that's it, guys. Really hope that this podcast episode here was valuable. My goal was to keep it short and concise and really actionable. I wanted to give you guys something that you could walk away here today and really begin to implement, really begin to take action on, and set yourself up for having the greatest year ever. So if this episode was valuable, guys, do us a favor. I ask every single episode, I ask every single week. But if you're finding value out of these conversations, if they're bringing something good to your life and to your world, please help us and continue to grow this mission and this message. You can do that in one of two ways. First off, leave us a 5-star rating or written review right there on Apple Podcasts or whatever platform you are listening to. But more importantly, there's somebody that that needs to hear this message. Maybe somebody that that 2021 didn't treat them the way that they deserve. Maybe the last couple of years have been a very difficult time for them. But something in today's conversation, something in today's episode, would resonate with them and maybe help them get out of that hole of darkness that they've been in. Do us the favor and them the blessing of sharing this conversation. But guys, let's get out there. Let's take action. I'm looking forward to hearing about your success. I'm looking forward to seeing you continue to grow, whether you're part of our coaching program or you're just following this because you're finding value out of these conversations on a weekly basis. I want to remind you again how incredibly grateful we are for having you here. But for Frank Rich here at the Superhuman Life, I love you guys, and we'll see you next week.